public hearing for the CDBG grant, which is the CARES application for farm worker safety housing. And I'm going to ask the clerk to read the notice.
A very long notice, so I apologize. I'm going to try to read fast. Columbia County will hold a public hearing on February 9th, 2022 at 7 p.m. virtually on Google Meets for the purpose of hearing public comments on Columbia County's community development needs and to discuss the possible submission of one or more community development block grant CARES applications for the Farm Worker Safety Housing Program for the 2020 program year. The CDBG CARES program is administered by the New York State Office of Community Renewal and will make available to eligible local governments funding for the 2020 year for housing, economic development, public facilities, public infrastructure, and planning activities with the principal purpose of benefiting low, moderate income persons. The hearing will provide further information on the CDBG CV program and will continue for citizen participation in the development of the proposed grant application and or to provide technical assistance to develop alternate proposals. The proposed grant application will request $250,000 in 2020 CDBG CV funding to address vital and immediate needs and to prepare for future pandemic events through a proposed farm worker safety housing activity, which will address the prevention and spread of the virus to farm worker housing units, respond to the impacts of the virus, and safely prepare farm worker housing facilities for new safety protocols. The proposed project will assist Klein's Kill Farms Corp. To replace a house in substandard condition with a newly constructed on-site housing to improve the quality of and facilitate health and safety improvements to farm worker housing, specifically with the goal of creating safer housing conditions in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. The CDBG-CV grant funds are intended to help farms safely house this critical local workforce. Comments on the CDBG-CV program or proposed projects will be received at this time. The hearing is being conducted pursuant to Section 570.486, Subpart 1 of the CFR and in compliance with the requirements of Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended. Assistance under the Community Development Block Grant Program must meet one of three national objectives: benefit to low and moderate income persons, elimination of slums and blight or urgent needs affecting the health and safety of the community. No less than 70% of the grant's funds must be used for activities benefiting low and moderate income persons, and the benefit area must contain at least 51% low and moderate income residents. All interested residents, including minority, women, disabled, and disadvantaged persons, are strongly encouraged to attend the public hearing. Written and verbal comments and questions can be directed to the Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, Kelly Vaquero, 401 State Street, Hudson, New York, 12534. Telephone number, area code 518-828-1527. Please contact county offices if special accommodations are needed for persons with disabilities, those with hearing impairments, or those in need of translation from English. Questions, comments, or public review after the public hearings, but before the formal submission of the application, can be arranged by calling or writing Columbia County, 401 State Street, Hudson, New York, 12534, telephone number 518-828-1527. After submission, a copy of the application will be available for public inspection at the county office. Dated January 28th, 2022. Clerk of the Board of Supervisors, Kelly S. Vaquero, Hudson, New York. Okay.
Good job, Kelly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments by supervisors? Any comments by supervisors? Are there any comments by supervisors? Mike Tucker, do you have anything to add?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Columbia Economic Development had received a request from Kleinkill Farm asking that the Columbia County Board of Supervisors submit an application on its behalf and to participate in the New York State Farm Housing Grant Program. This is a new funding program with rolling applications and it is anticipated that other Columbia County farms may request county support for the program. As with other Office of Community Renewal grants, the applicant must be a municipality on behalf of the ultimate grant recipient. In the past, CEDC, Columbia Economic Development, has assisted the county with the administration of these programs. Governor Hochul recently announced a $25 million package to improve housing conditions for farm workers and to protect the health and safety of its critical workforce. The Farm Worker Safety Housing Grant Program will fund the rehabilitation and replacement of existing farm worker housing to minimize exposure to COVID-19 in the farm community. These funds are from ARPA, so they are required to have a focus on a COVID solution. Grants are available from the New York State Housing and Community Renewal Office through Federal Community Development Block Grant CARE Act funding, which provides resources to municipalities to improve housing and community facilities in response to COVID-19. For the Farm Worker Safety Housing Grant Program, municipalities may apply for grants up to $1 million to support a farm or group of farms with 5 to 10 housing units in need of rehabilitation or replacement to address individual issues such as environmental hazards, outdated filtration air systems, and to provide essential personal protective equipment such as masks and hand sanitizer. Grants must benefit low to moderate income individuals with incomes at or below 80% of the area median income, and work must be completed within 12 to 18 months. Individual grant applications are limited to $250,000. The proposed grant application that is subject to this public hearing will request $250,000 in 220 CDBC funding. The question arose, was that a typo or is it $2,020? The Office of Community Renewal instructed us to use 2020 because those are funds I believe that they're rolling over to use for the program. So we do appreciate catching that because these things are pretty technical, and we did check with them to be sure that it was 2020 funding. And it's to address immediate needs and to prepare for future pandemic events through a proposed farm worker safety housing activity, which will address the prevention and spread of the virus in farm worker communities, to respond to the impact of the virus, and to safely prepare farm worker housing facilities for new safety protocols. The proposed project will assist Klein-Kill Farms to replace housing unit in substandard conditions and to improve the quality of and facilitate health and safety improvements to the farm worker housing, specifically with the goal of creating safer housing conditions in light of the pandemic. The CDBG CV grant funds are intended to help farm safety housing and farm safety housing this critical local workforce. Comments on the program or proposed projects will be received at this hearing, and the hearing, as the clerk indicated, is being conducted pursuant to section 570-486 subpart 1 of the CFR. We believe that this program is an important program. It's federal and state dollars that will be accessible to eligible projects. We have worked with the Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development Corporation in attempting to market the program. Unfortunately, as with all federal and state programs, there are some specific eligibility requirements which we are evaluating in connection with possible other grants. And if any supervisor is aware of any other farm in the county that may have farm worker housing safety issues that could benefit from this grant, please contact me. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. I guess I'll ask one more time if there any supervisors have any questions. And I see Supervisor Hoatling has her hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Mike, I just had a few questions. You mentioned Klein-Kill Farm, but it sounds like it's open to any farms. If we have farms in our communities that could potentially benefit, we would have the farm contact you directly?
Yes, and obviously it's subject to funding limitations, but at this point, we're at the early stages of the program. And this all of the Office of Community Renewal grants, and you have approved several in the past. You've approved them for the Hudson Valley Creamery. You've approved them for Clock Distilleries. And I think there was one other before I got here, but the applicant has to be a municipality. And so what happens is the county, should you approve this project, to the application to proceed once the hearing is completed, the application would be submitted. If the grant was awarded, the state would contract with the county would contract with CEDC to administer the grant on its behalf, and we would contract with the recipient of the grant. And in each of those steps, the documents protect both the county and CEDC from any exposure or liability.
Great. My other question is there any way you could send all the supervisors via Kelly, kind of a, not all that detailed, but a quick, fact
Sure.
and
I can
question
send you,
that we can distribute to our local farmers to see if they
Yeah.
might qualify?
absolutely. I think you may have received that, but I will send it and it'll have the link to the state's website. It'll be a one-pager, and I'll get that out to you tonight, Kelly, so you don't have to deal with that.
Thank you so much, Mike.
No, thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Adams?
Mike, I have just one question. So this is for the renewal or renovation of existing housing units, 5 to 10 units. It's
Right.
not for new construction.
That's correct. It could be new construction to replace existing units, and there does have to be a linkage in the application that you're replacing them because there's a bunkhouse with 5 rooms and 2 in a room, and now you're going to have 10 rooms and 1 in a room because of COVID. I mean, it has to have, we're working through the state to truly understand what exactly they'll accept as a COVID related improvement.
Okay. Any other supervisor questions? Okay, I don't believe we have any public on, but I will ask, do we have any public comments? Okay, with that.
Mr.
I'm
Chairman,
sorry.
Mr. Chairman, one thing is that we're seeing a number of interests, not only in this program for the farm safety housing, but for the traditional Office of Community Renewal program, where grants are available up to $350,000 for equipment. I think at Hudson Valley Creamery, you approved participating in the program on behalf of the creamery for equipment to make cheese. At the distillery, the money was awarded through the county for bottling equipment. It's a great program, but it's tedious in the sense that we have to go through this process with each applicant through the full Board of Supervisors. And we do want to be sure that to the extent that anyone has businesses in their community that would qualify for this for the general economic development program, that we streamline this in a way that it appears equitable and fair, and at the same time recognize that it's really a great program, because if you stay in business for 5 years, you get to keep the equipment. And if you don't, then you have to pay back the county, who pays back the state. So, I do think that they tell us there's plenty of money there. And I just wanted to be sure that there was at least a little bit better understanding of it with the supervisors, so that it doesn't appear we're just randomly bringing projects to you. And I think as we move forward, coming out of COVID, and educate businesses more about these programs, it may result in an increase of these applications, but it will also give you a sense of why we're bringing them one at a time.
Okay. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to close the public hearing, but I want to ask a question of Mr. Tucker. We do not need to act on this. We just needed to hold the public hearing?
That's correct. In the resolution authorizing the public hearing, which you approved at your last meeting in December, the resolution provides that upon completion of the public hearing, the chairman is authorized to submit the application. That doesn't obligate the county in any way to accepting the grant once it's approved, if it's approved, so that it's merely the ministerial act of submitting an application, and the county has the full right at the time that the grant is awarded to decide whether or not to proceed and sign the grant application or grant contract.
Okay, thank you. So the public hearing is closed. I think we need to move to our next link.
Yep, we do.
Thank you,
you,
everyone, and
Mike.
please contact me if
Thanks.
you have questions on this or anything else.
Hey, Mike,
Thank you,
give me a
Mike.
call tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Call the full board meeting to order, and I'm going to ask everyone to rise for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
To the
for
republic
which
for which
stands
it stands,
one nation
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
liberty
and justice for all. Okay, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll.
Okay, ready? Basson,
Here.
Weigelt,
He was on.
we lost him in the important meeting. Holmes,
Here.
here he comes. Weigelt. Weigelt,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Stats,
Here.
Adams,
Here,
Mettler,
Here.
Collins,
Here.
Riley, Eldridge,
Here.
Helsley,
Here.
Kirsten,
Here.
Lagonia,
Here.
Cousin,
Here.
Mia, Isaiah Abdus,
Yeah.
Chamidas,
Here.
Mussman,
Here.
Scalera,
Here.
Fuzzy,
Here.
Holtling,
Here.
Morel,
Here.
Not,
Here.
Skoda.
Present.
We have a full Board of Supervisors, 35, 0 absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. I need a motion to pay the bills, accept the treasurer's report, and file the minutes within the clerk's office.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have a couple of proclamations. One is for Black History Month, and the other is the Agricultural Month. For Black History Month, I'd like Supervisor Cousin to read the proclamation.
Sure. As African American History Month, an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their cultural role in U.S. history approaches February 1st through March 1st. The 2022 theme for African American History Month is Black Health and Wellness. Black health and wellness not only encompasses the physical, but also the mental and emotional health. In those endeavors, there is much to celebrate. Historically, African Americans could not depend on the community at large for health and wellness. Self-determined individuals form their own groups to serve those purposes. In communities large and small, persons of color have come together in support and mutual aid to establish medical, public, and community health organizations, not only in service of their own needs, but also in service to their communities in their entirety. The ripple effect is such that all aspects of our communities are affected. We need to look no further than our own medical institutions in Columbia County to find prominent and respected medical, health, and holistic professionals of color. According to the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, Black communities must look to the past to provide the light for our future by embracing the rituals, traditions, and healing modalities of our ancestors. Likewise, not only must we acknowledge our historical failings as individual citizens in our treatment of our African American neighbors, we must actively work for change within ourselves and within our institutions to ensure that we amplify those voices and that have historically been silenced. Be it ever in our minds that our collective county history must encompass all citizens, past and present, and continue its efforts to keep this issue at the forefront. We too shall pass into history. Let us be good citizens to one another and good stewards of the history of all who inhabit our county.
Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Cousin. Next, I'm going to ask Supervisor Guzzi to read the next proclamation.
Yes. March is Agricultural Month. Whereas March signifies a national celebration of the importance of food and agriculture in the United States, as it provides almost everything we eat and use each day. This month, we recognize and celebrate the diversity and abundance provided by New York farms and our growing food and agricultural sector and the contributions of Columbia County's family farmers. And whereas there are 33,400 farms in New York State and 6,900,000 acres of operated farmland. And whereas the agricultural industry in New York State contributed more than $5.7 billion in agricultural economy sales in New York economy each year. And whereas with farmland occupying nearly 1/4 of New York State's land area, agriculture also promotes New Yorkers' quality of life in other ways, including providing access to fresh, locally sourced food, preserving open space, and enhancing communities through farmer markets and other such activities. And whereas recognizing the month of March as Agricultural Month in Columbia County provides the opportunity for all residents of Columbia County and New York to better appreciate agriculture's breadth and beauty and how food and fiber products are produced, and that the role agriculture plays in providing safe, abundant, and affordable products. And whereas commemorating Agricultural Month will build awareness of the benefits of the agricultural industry in Columbia County and encourage young people to consider agriculture as a career. And furthermore, I urge all New Yorkers to join me in recognizing the importance of our food and agricultural industry, to thank a farmer for providing the food we eat, and to help celebrate each month with meals made from a variety of New York State products. Now, therefore, I, Matt B. Morrell, Chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2022 as Agricultural Month in Columbia County. Given under my hand and the previous seal of the County of Columbia Supervisors Chambers, Hudson, New York, 9th day of February in the year of our Lord 2022. Matt Morrell, Chairman, Columbia County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, Supervisor Guzzi.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Supervisor Adams.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to ask if we could get copies of those proclamations. I'd like to share them with people in our community.
We can send them both out to all the supervisors.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next I'm sorry, Supervisor Cousin.
Sorry, I just wanted to thank you for the proclamation around Black History Month. I think it's very important. I also would like to continue the conversation around mental health in the Black community and addressing the stigma and hiring practices to get more Black therapists in our county.
I'm going to schedule a meeting with you, myself, Supervisor Collins, as well as Dan Almasi in the near future.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I'm going to request the clerk read the resolutions.
Okay, resolution 35 of 2022 to resolution 55 of 2022 by Supervisor Collins.
Mr. Chairman, I introduce these resolutions for adoption.
Second, Hoatling.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 56 of 2022 to resolution 2022 by Supervisor Ligonia.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
And I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution 69 of 2022 through resolution 76 of 2022 with a secret call by Attorney Fitzsimmons for number 74 of 2022 by
Yes.
Supervisor Weigelt. I'm sorry, Rob.
We have to do the secret form for the addition of the parcels into the ag district. The secret short form part 1 was submitted with the resolution, and our obligation is to go through and determine if there's any significant negative environmental impacts by that action. So I'll take you through the part 2 form questions with the proposed answers. If anybody has any comments or concerns, just let us know as we go through. Will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulation? The proposed answer is none. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? The proposed answer is none. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? The proposed action is none. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? The proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing levels of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? The proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? The proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Proposed answers are no. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources, being wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, or fauna? Proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? Proposed answer is no. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? Proposed action answer is no. So if the board agrees with those proposed answers, someone at this point in time could make a motion to issue a negative declaration for purposes of secret.
So
I'll move
moved.
it.
Oh, second then.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So you've made the secret determination, so you can move forward with the resolutions, Kelly.
Thank you.
Mr.
So again, it was resolution 69 of 2022 to 76 of 2022 by Supervisor Weigelt.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for your adoption. I'll second the motion.
I'm sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I apologize. I muted myself because I was getting feedback.
Okay, resolution 77 of 2022 to 78 of 2022 by Supervisor Skoda.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
And I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Supervisor 79 of 2022 to 93 of 2022 by Supervisor Knott.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second, Skoda.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Carried.
Resolution 94 of 2022 to 100 of 2022 by Supervisor Guzzi.
Mr. Chairman, I offer these resolutions for adoption.
Second the motion, Hotley.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's the chairman.
Thank you all. Next, do any supervisors have any business they'd like to bring before the board? Okay. Well, with that, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Opposed? Carried. Thank
Good night,
you all.
everyone.
Sounds
Aye.
like we'll see you in person next month and this little ham won't get to participate.